Hey everyone, and welcome to this high-yield academic explainer. Today, we're going on a visually driven journey through our histology notes, totally focusing on the four primary types of human tissues. If you've ever found yourself wondering how these microscopic groups of cells work together to keep us moving, breathing, and functioning, well, you are in the exact right place. So go ahead and get your notebooks ready. Okay, let's dive right into the foundation by clearly defining what a tissue actually is. You see, it's not just some random jumble of cells. A tissue is a highly organized group of cells that share a similar origin, structure, and function. They're specifically designed to work as a team to perform a dedicated role in your body, whether that's protection, support, or movement. Think of them like highly specialized departments within a massive corporation. So why do these cellular teams even matter? Well, for starters, tissues enable cell specialization. This means different groups become complete experts at very specific functions, which even dictates how much blood supply they get. They also provide the fundamental structural support and shape of our bodies. Think about your bones and cartilage. They protect our vital organs, and crucially, they play a massive role in internal communication and mounting immune responses to keep us healthy. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the foundation of tissues, move into the EMCN classification, tackle epithelial tissue and some exam tips, hit the highlights of muscular tissue, and wrap up with an overview of connective and nervous tissues. All right, let's jump into Section 1, the EMCN classification. Whenever you feel totally overwhelmed by all the tiny details of microscopic anatomy, I want you to step back and think about the macro view. Tissues are basically classified based on the size, shape, and function of their cells. And honestly, the whole system branches down into just four main families. You've got epithelial for covering, muscular for movement, connective for support and binding, and nervous for transmitting signals. That's the whole shebang. To really lock this overarching concept into your brain for exam day, we're going to rely on a super simple but powerful mnemonic, EMCN. E for epithelial, M for muscular, C for connective, and N for nervous. Seriously, if you can just remember EMCN, you already have the architectural blueprint of the human body memorized. Moving right along to Section 2, epithelial tissue and its PASS functions. So epithelial tissue, or just epithelium, is basically your body's ultimate boundary layer. It's made up of closely arranged cells that cover or line both the external and internal surfaces of your body parts. Now, here's an absolutely crucial fact. Epithelium is avascular. That means it totally lacks its own blood vessels. Because of this, it has to get all its nutrients via diffusion from the connective tissue right underneath it. It's the ultimate gatekeeper for our internal environment. And because it acts as that gatekeeper, its jobs are incredibly important. You can easily remember its four main functions with the PASS mnemonic. P is for protection, like your skin keeping pathogens out. A is for absorption, like the lining of your intestines soaking up nutrients. The first S is for secretion, which is what our glands do best. And the final S is for sensation, handled by sensory epithelium. So remember, PASS, protection, absorption, secretion, sensation. Now, because these epithelial cells are packed so tightly together at the surface, they actually need a solid foundation to sit on. Enter the basement membrane. This is the distinct physical divider where the epithelial cells securely anchor themselves to that vascular connective tissue positioned just below. It's literally the glue holding the boundary layer in place. Let's move on to Section 3, epithelial types. And I've got a huge exam tip coming up here. When you're looking at epithelial tissues under a microscope, the very first thing you do is classify them by the number of layers. And the deciding factor here is that basement membrane we just talked about. In simple epithelium, there's just a single layer, meaning every single cell gets to touch the basement membrane. But in stratified epithelium, you have multiple layers stacked up, which means only the very deepest bottom layer actually makes contact with it. Beyond just the layers, we classify these cells by their shape. The golden rule here: flat equals squamous, a cube is cuboidal, and tall means columnar. Squamous cells look like little flat stones, and because they're so incredibly thin, they're perfect for rapid gas exchange in places like your lungs. Cuboidal cells are shaped like dice, which makes them great for secretion and absorption in the kidneys. And those tall columnar cells, they're perfect for lining your digestive tract. Now, when you stack these cells into multiple layers, their main gig is usually protecting against wear and tear. But think about transitional epithelium for a second. This specialized tissue lines organs that need to stretch, like your urinary bladder. When the bladder is totally empty, the top cells look round and dome-shaped. But the amazing part? When the bladder fills up, those dome cells literally flatten out to accommodate the extra volume. It's a perfect example of form following function. Okay, grab your highlighters or star this in your notes because this is literally one of the most common trick questions you'll see on an exam. Pseudostratified columnar tissue, which you'll find lining your respiratory tract, looks like it's multi-layered because all the nuclei are floating at different heights. But here's the catch. Because every single cell still touches the basement membrane, it is strictly classified as a simple epithelium. Do not let the word pseudo trick you. All right, leaving the boundary layers behind, let's pivot to section 4, the M in our mnemonic, muscular tissue. Muscle tissue is uniquely designed for one fundamental job: contraction. It pulls on your bones so you can move voluntarily and keep your posture upright. But internally, it's just as busy doing involuntary stuff like making sure you breathe, pushing food through your digestive tract, and pumping blood. Plus, here's a fun fact. Whenever your muscles contract, they generate body heat, which plays a massive role in regulating your overall metabolism. You are almost guaranteed to get a question asking you to contrast the 3 main types of muscle: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Walk through this with me. For control, skeletal is the only one you move voluntarily. Smooth and cardiac are strictly involuntary. For striations, those little stripe patterns, skeletal and cardiac have them, but smooth muscle absolutely does not. Finally, the nuclei. Skeletal fibers are long and multinucleated, smooth has just one central nucleus, and cardiac cells usually have 1 or 2 nuclei and a very distinct branched shape. Visually, these differences are textbook. Skeletal muscle fibers are perfectly straight, incredibly long, and heavily striated. Contrast that with smooth muscle found in your organ walls. Those cells are spindle-shaped, tapered at the ends, and have absolutely no stripes. Then you have cardiac muscle in the heart. It's striated like skeletal muscle for sure, but notice how the fibers branch out and physically connect with their neighbors. And that branched look brings us to another major exam tip. If you're looking at a tissue slide and you spot dark, connecting bands between those branched cells, you found intercalated discs. Listen closely. Only cardiac muscle has intercalated discs. These connections are absolutely critical because they allow for rapid electrical coupling, making sure your heart contracts in one powerful, coordinated sweep. See an intercalated disc? The answer is cardiac muscle, every time. Finally, section 5, let's wrap up our EMCN roadmap by taking a quick look at connective and nervous tissues. This is where we see some incredible cellular diversity. Connective tissue is basically the ultimate supporter. Remember the TSSP mnemonic here. It's all about transport, support, storage, and protection. It ranges from flexible cartilage like your common hyaline, stretchy elastic, and super tough fibrocartilage, all the way to solid bone. For bone, just remember the cell trio. Osteoblasts build it, osteocytes maintain it, and osteoclasts break it down. Now, switching gears to nervous tissue, its whole job is to detect and process signals. A signal flows through a neuron one way. Dendrites receive it, the soma integrates it, the axon transmits it, and the terminal releases it. Remember the A versus E rule. Afferent is sensory arriving at the brain, while efferent is motor exiting the brain. And those myelin sheaths wrapped around the axons, they're just there to speed up that electrical conduction. So we've broken down these 4 tissue categories individually, but here's the thing. In a living, breathing patient, they never work in isolation. I want to leave you with a question to chew on. How do these 4 EMCN systems collaborate during a complex action, like running a marathon? Just think about the nervous system firing signals, muscles generating the force, connective tissue holding your joints together, and your epithelium sweating to dump that body heat. To really master these concepts, check the link in the description for the full tissue study notes.